Hey friends, we're upstairs at the Hi-Fi in Indianapolis hanging out with my buddy JD Simo and Luther Dickinson. And JD just mentioned Yank Rochelle. I never know whether it's Yank Rochelle or Yank Rachel.
Me neither. Do you know?
People argue back and forth, and I honestly don't know which. But locally they call him Rochelle. And anyway, I said Yank is buried about 2 miles from where we are right now, and so is Wes Montgomery, and so is Scrapper Blackwell. And that led to the conversation of when people say, what's the greatest blues record of all time, there's no such thing, but I can say what my favorite is, and just to be I love Mr. Scrapper's Blues. So I brought that up, and that brought about the conversation of like, well, what is your favorite blues record of all time, or what should be considered? And I think these cats know what they're talking about a little more than me, so
I don't know about that.
What do you think?
Well, two came to mind. The first that came to mind was Champion Jack Dupree, Blues from the Gutter. And it was great songs, beautiful recording, great guitar, saxophone, and just wonderful. But then Howlin' Wolf, Moaning in the Moonlight, like just slammed into my mind. And really the single, the original, How Many More Years, Moaning in the Moonlight, 1951, you know?
Wow.
And I always state, like, for Wolf and Sam Phillips to do that together in that room in 1951, I mean, they should have won a Nobel Peace Prize. It was so forward-thinking and beautiful, you know, and completely frowned upon.
Willie Johnson playing guitar.
It's some of the most beautiful. I used to play that. I had an old 78. When I just old RCA tube, but it was the record, but I put it on for my child, you know, and she was like, ooh, what is that? I was like, that's the Wolf, baby. And then I put it on, I was like, what is that? Like, ooh, Daddy, turn it off. You know, I was like, that's the Wolf. And then I put it on, she's like, oh, that's the Wolf. Play that Wolf, Daddy. I'm like, Jimmy, coming to get you.
Coming to get you.
Move over, roll.
70s dad. No. It's weird, man, because, like, my favorite, they've changed over the years. I got my... That's my supper. That's my supper on its way. Shut up. Hey, man, this is real. This is real.
The modern day blues, the best blues record. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta go get my carne asada. No, but it changes over time. You know, like now, I think like Earl Hooker's Two Bugs and a Roach is probably like one I would go to put on. But that's me. You know, like that's me personally. Because I just love that record. And Earl made several records. There's another one called Don't Worry About Me. I think that's what it's called, that he cut in Los Angeles in '69. And then there's a Hooker and Steve record, which is him and an organ player, which I really like. But Two Bugs and a Roach, I think I would put there. And probably Singing the Blues, BB's first actual LP. Mm-hmm. Like that was originally on Kent, I think, and then but I got a copy of it on oh god, it'll come to me in a minute. But what was crazy to me about that record, because like I had Live at the, you know, because like the Rolling Stone top 10, you know, it's like it'll be, you know, Live at the Regal, Albert King Livewire Blues Power, The Best of Muddy Waters, you know, like the kind of givens, you know, and to a certain extent, like records that like he and I were talking on the right here, and we were talking earlier that like there's certain records that like, yeah, of course, but like you get sick of them because you've heard them a lot, you know? And so it's like, any of those records I just mentioned, like, yeah, they're great, but like I don't reach to put them on because I've heard them too much, you know?
I mean, I always counter Live at the Regal with Cook County.
Well, I never see. I like. There's a record that BB made. It's 2 records or 3 records after. It's called Blues is King, and it's him live at the International Club in Chicago. And it's better than Live at the Regal, and it's better than Cook County.
Damn,
it's raw. It has a version of Nightlife on it, Ray Price's song. That's incredible. And
Nelson wrote that, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's always my favorite live BB, because it's like it's right in the middle. But the first one, where I was going with it is like I had all those other records first, and like I got really into Jimmy Vaughn And Jimmy always would talk about, oh yeah, man, you know, Buddy Guy and B.B. King. And I never really heard B.B. King and his plan. But then eventually I got the Singing the Blues record, and I went, I get it. Because like there's two different B.B. Kings. There's like the pre-vibrato B.B. King, which is what the Singing the Blues record is. And then there's like Live at the Regal on Forward, the electric eel.
Like heavy strings versus slinkies.
Yeah, and it's just his phrasing and everything was very different. And I actually prefer it. Like I prefer like 50s BB personally, like over time. So I'd put that. So the Singing the Blues record and like Earl, I put those in there. But there's so many, man. I mean, it just depends.
You were telling me a little bit ago about BB's period where he didn't have a bass player.
Yeah. Because you were talking about Sonny Freeman's brother that you just got with, and Sonny was his longtime famous drummer. That like his style of drumming is behind BB, like all of the iconic late 50s through the 60s into the 70s. That's Sonny, and it's just like Earl Palmer or Clyde Stubblefield or any other notable drummer of that era. Like he played very specific, and like you hear bar bands or you hear like blues bands or whatever like play, and it's like the drummers only ever heard, you know, Steely Dan records or something, and it's like they don't play like that. And it's like Sonny was a very specific, just like any other drummer and any other idiot, you know. But there was a period there for a few years where it was just an organ trio, where it was Sonny, an organ player, kicking bass, and two horn players. Like BB had to scale way back for financial reasons, and it was like from like 65, 67, like right in there. And there's a really great, it's on YouTube now. He played the Gleason show, and he played for an hour, and it's black and white footage with the organ trio, and it's a great performance. Because BB, like, it's weird, it's the same for any of the great people in that era. Like, there's only so much video footage, if any, that exists of some of these people. And even somebody as notable as BB King, like, yeah, there's tons of footage from the 80s and the 90s and stuff, but it's like him in his true like prime. Like, there's only so much.
Yo, BB in Africa.
Yeah, the
Thrill Is Gone in Africa is some of the
Crusaders.
deepest shit. That's some of the deepest, heaviest
That
American
version.
art. That shit is a whole top of the game, another level.
He does a version of Sweet 16 at that concert. That's incredible. That is one of his great performances.
That's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, with Muhammad Ali and right in the front row.
But something came to mind.
Rumble in the Jungle, baby.
Something came to mind. The second half of Ray Charles' Hard Times on the Genius Sings the Blues, those vocals.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, we're talking guitar players, you know, a lot. I mean, BB's a great singer, no doubt, but
BB could have been a singer and not a guitar
alone,
player,
right?
like Bobby Bland, and Freddie King could have too.
But I thought about Bobby Bland too, you know, because it's utterly unique.
Two Steps from the Blues. I would throw Two Steps from the Blues in there as like one that should be in the pile.
But that Ray Charles, that voice it's just so sad, goddamn. But also, I cannot let it go past without mentioning. I mean, Robert Johnson to me is like Charlie Christian or Jimi Hendrix. Like, be it rock guitar, jazz guitar, or blues acoustic. Those are the three alpha and omegas. Like, it's like they laid it down, and it really, for me, never got any better. Like, they are still my favorites. But you know, Robert Johnson's just the same. But it's fun to hear like where he stole this melody from the Mississippi Sheiks or this from Blind Willie Johnson. You have to mention Blind Willie Johnson.
Yeah,
Dark Was the Night. But what I love about Blind Willie is studying Mississippi Fred McDowell's work, especially the gospel stuff.
Yeah,
you hear a lot of Blind Willie Johnson, and geographically and time wise, he had to just pick up the record and learn it just like all of us. You know, he was picking up the needle and moving it back and studying Blind Willie Johnson. And the idea of Fred McDowell sitting and studying someone's guitar work on an album, that makes me so happy because it's just a tradition, you know. I mean, I grew up hitting rewind and moving the needle, and but that's like that's the link between Texas and Mississippi Hill Country is Fred McDowell's Blind Willie Johnson gospel repertoire. And then, so take this. So when R.L. Burnside, I'm speaking personal experience now from the Hill Country, musicians that I studied under. I never knew RL. I never knew Fred. He was friends with my parents, and they went to his funeral and carried me in utero. I never got to meet him, but I did go to the funeral. But and my dad got a case of chiggers so bad on his balls, man. On his balls, they crawled up. They chose not to bite his ankles, not to bite his knees or thighs. They chewed his balls, and
I'd rather get beat down than get chiggers.
But
On your balls.
This is total Dickinson. So he had to fly to California immediately after to work with Ry Cooder, and he covered his balls in fucking clear nail polish, and he said he got so high he never played better, you know. That he was a big proponent of getting high to make you play better. I really don't adhere to that concept, but that's the family. That's my
70s
rebellion.
dad.
Yeah, 70s dad. Like, who joins the Black Crowes and quits doing drugs? Me, But at one point during that time,
Well, you didn't want to die.
dude, I didn't want to explode, man. The munchies were killing me, dude. I would be like,
That's what I mean.
5 in the morning, the last one on the bus eating the last Fruity Pebble, and like they were like, God damn, man, get it together. But I couldn't control the munchies, fuck. And
That's so good.
but Dad caught me shortly thereafter turning down a joint at the Zebra Ranch, and during a session he was like, "What? Well, son, if you can't play when you're high, when can you play?" I was like, "Man, fuck you, Dad. Man, fuck that. That's some bullshit." That comes from a man that don't want to practice. You know what I mean? But anyway, so dig this. So personal experience. When R.L. Burnside moved to Chicago, his father and uncle and brothers had moved to Chicago, and R.L. followed them for 6 months, and they all got killed, and he came back home.
Yeah.
But during that time, his cousin or someone in his family was dating Muddy Waters' sister.
Right.
And Muddy Waters came to the house and showed RL Open G. So that's why all RL's Open G shit sounds like live at Stovall's Plantation. It sounds like Muddy's Open G stuff. And so that's like between Fred studying the Texas and Muddy and RL going up to Chicago. I just love those.
Yeah.
We went to Chicago. Our buddy Todd, who's holding the camera over here, we went to Chicago a couple of years ago to go to a bunch of graves, and we went to Muddy Waters' old house that was sitting empty.
Wow.
And we sat on his porch and kind of started going down the rabbit hole on that, and I guess everybody would stay there when they come to.
Yeah, I remember going down there with my cousin when I was a little kid. We rode the bus. We didn't tell my parents, because they would have killed us if they knew we were going down there. But we went down and found it when I was in grade school. We went down there and found it, and the downstairs room was the practice room, and I think that was Span's room, like where Otis Span would like crash.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure. And then Geneva was always cooking, and everybody stayed there.
Chuck Berry would stay there.
Oh yeah, and there's like the famous story of like Keith Richards getting carried out of there.
Well, if you can't play when you're high, son.
Exactly.
That brings to mind Willie Dixon, man. Like he didn't he have like a basement studio where he'd go record demos and stuff?
That I don't know.
Like what a genius songwriter, man.
We went to his grave. We went to Wolf's. Wolf had like a really nice stone. It's kind of
The brownstone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think did Clapton pay for that? There was
No. That was Wolf. Wolf was smart with his money, and him and his wife lived there through the whole gambit. Yeah. And Wolf famously paid like union dues for all of his band members so that they would get pensions, and they would get a tax break if they went to music classes at the college or whatever. And so Wolf was very.
You went to night school, right?
Yeah, it was or something to that effect. And I know the brownstone, because it's not far from where Teresa's used to be, the club that was Junior Wells' home club for years and years, but everybody played there. But it's a basement. The building is still there where Teresa's was.
I just had this realization. Like, I'm feeling like a complete idiot because I'm talking Chicago to a guy from Chicago.
Well, I mean, it was the thing that was crazy about growing up in Chicago when I was is that, like the Stevie Ray Vaughan culture was like, because I was born in 85, so like by the time like early 90s when I was starting to play guitar and stuff, like what was big in Chicago still was like that permeated Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan thing mixed with WXRT, like playing Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Elvis Costello and stuff. So it was like all of the stuff that like was there to be discovered was already like, from my vantage point, already like several layers hidden, below the sort of commercial, like, oh, go to Buddy Guy's club, not discouraging that by any means, but it's like the buildings that like existed, the clubs that they used to play, like I mentioned, Teresa's, and then there was Silvio's, which is where like Magic Sam and Muddy used to play, and then Pepper's, which is another place that Wolf and them would play. Like those buildings or bars or whatever like still existed. They're gone now, but like when I was a kid they existed, but I didn't know about them, but I do remember, like, because me and my cousin went to find Chess Studios at one point too, and that was, once you got past the Hyatt at Grant Park, once you got go farther south going down Michigan Avenue, it changed immediately. Like once you passed Grant Park, like it turned into a war zone, and now it's all $1 million condos and stuff like that. But it's like 2120 was a boarded up building when I was in grade school, and it's like now at least you can go in there and see it and stuff like that. But it's I'm sure a very similar thing like with Memphis, that it's like it took a long time for the actual like true heritage to like be somewhat recognized or at all cared for or preserved, And so I learned about it all, a lot of it retroactively, because it just wasn't prominent, and now I look back and go, Jesus, it's like,
yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, Stax was a rubble.
Yep.
And Beale Street was boarded up in the 70s, but yeah, I was the same way. Like when I was a kid, like the blues that I liked was not current, it wasn't until Hill Country Blues that the current, that's what blew me away. I was like, not only is there modern day,
right,
electrified, multi-generational, family-based blues music that I love, that appeals to me aesthetically in multiple ways, but it's in my backyard. It's crazy. And I knew of R.L. Burnside as an acoustic player, total virtuoso in the 80s and early 90s. And then Other Turner, Rise of Star Fife and Drum Band I knew since I was a kid. But I did not know about Junior Kimber's Juke Joint. I didn't go. I mean, Fat Possum turned me on just as much as the rest of the world. And I was friends with Kenny Brown. I knew Kenny Brown since I was 14. But I didn't ever see them work together until later in the game. Changed my life, blew my mind. That's what's so cool. I mean, I grew up around Memphis and then moved to Mississippi from rural Tennessee outside when I was 12, down to North Mississippi. And he grew up in Chicago, and it's like, man, his shit is so legit.
Right,
breaks my heart.
Breaks my heart. But the thing is like what made me want to play music though is the music from, ironically, from your back, like, because it was Elvis and Stax, like that's what made me want to play music. And so it's interesting, because it was foreign, because Memphis was foreign to me.
That's funny, because my favorite shit was Bo Diddley.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Jimmy Reed, Waters, the early.
I was gonna say, as far as the best blues, I mean, you have to put like, This Is Jimmy Reed in there or something, because I mean, really, I mean, like there wouldn't, modern musical form, I mean, Jimmy Reed is, it's pretty undeniable. Him and Eddie Taylor. Eddie Taylor, talk about an unsung, forgotten archetype of modern music that is just lost to lore. It's like the you know, dun, 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 you know, I mean, that's Eddie Taylor, man, you know. So anyway, but
that's quite the gift to
music, yeah, you know. And then also John Lee Hooker, you know, like this is John Lee Hooker, the black cover with all the song titles on it. That's another really important, and he's a weird case because he's so unlike anyone else. You know, like all these guys are unique. It's so strange that you like have the same language. We were joking about this, like, you know, not a lot of vocabulary musically, you know.
And, who are you talking about?
And
what they is this he refers to?
But it's just it's a joke. But the point being is like the fact that they were all so singular, you know, is amazing. Like, because now it's like we have access to any type of music that's ever been made or will be made at a moment's notice on our phone, and so much is similar and sounds the same because everybody is out. It's all algorithms shoving us into the same thing we just heard, whereas all these guys that had such a narrow access to information were able to be so unique, you know.
You said John Lee Hooker. I'll wrap this up with a factoid. I went to John Lee Hooker's grave a few years ago in Oakland. He's buried in a mausoleum, a very nice area, and like right next to him is Al Davis from the Oakland Raiders owner, Just Win Baby. It was just the strangest combination that don't know if they knew each other, but anyhow, thank you guys for talking blues.
Thank you.
I'm glad that we were able to solve it, that Mr. Scrapper's Blues is in fact the greatest blues album of all time. Scrapper Blackwell. I'll put a link to you guys' stuff down below, and you guys go see them when you're out on the road. And
love you, Otis. And you guys need to do your episode.
We're gonna go real deep on his dad sometime soon, and it's gonna be fun. But take care, everybody. I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.
Down the road.
Thank you.
I tried to lean in for you. Hopefully it helps.
Lean in.
It'll be fun.